the Cassie Classic. And it's an incredibly powerful tool, yet I think often misunderstood or unrealized button. Okay? Here's how you use it. I want to tell the Casablanca that whenever this narration clip occurs, I want it to reduce the volume of the music track. And here's how we do it. Click on the narration clip and not adjust the volume, because if I adjust the volume, that's the volume of my narration clip. Instead, I'm going to correct a different track. In this case, music track 1. Everybody see that? See why I'm doing music track 1? Again, it's the slider next to it. Let's say I want to break it down minus... I'm going to go extreme so you can really see it. Ooh, not that extreme. You can see why I wasn't a brain surgeon. Okay? See how the music drops down? Now I know. What are you saying, but Chet? What's going to happen, it's going to play the music and it's going to drop down suddenly. And you're right, so let's fix that next. We want that to fade down. So here's how we do that. This relationship thing is like a mirror to its reference clip. If this is the reference clip saying, when you see this, do this, it will also impart those changes when I take this narration clip, and if I put a half-second fade in and fade out, it will do the opposite. As this fades in, this fades down. And as this fades back out, that fades back in. And so it's a total relationship thing. Right, so do the opposite. So again, thank you very much. It's an extreme. That's why, remember a little bit ago, that's why I said if you give yourself a 1 second space at the beginning of each narration sample, then you have room to do that fading in and fading out. If you didn't have that, you'd fade in their voice, which would sound really weird.
So that correction thing you just did, of course I've been using the elastic band right underneath. So is that basically that's been there the whole time?
For the last 9 years, yeah.
Okay.
But it's hugely powerful. But so many people kept telling us, "You guys got to have rubber banding. You've got to have it." And this essentially does the same thing, but you know, there's
There's times rubber banding.
Oh yeah.
I use this all the time.
Sure.
There's still times when you need rubber banding.
I totally agree.
Oh yeah, there is.
When there's isolated spots, you need to change.
Exactly.
But the problem with that is once you do rubber banding, all else is done. You can't adjust it out here.
That's right. You can't do the other adjustments. That's right.
Hey, excuse me, just 1 second. I missed it because we were worried about passing the paper around. You can just go to the mic track and then do it.
Yeah. I clicked on the mic, faded in and out a half second each, and then because it's that relationship thing, it did the opposite on the adjoining track, which is a really, really cool and simple tip. Okay. Yes.
About that the question of rubber banding in conjunction with this. Let's say you were editing a narration and you wanted to bleep out a word while there was guitar track underneath. Are you hosed?
You're hosed.
Then you split the scene, you split it, and then just treat it as two different things.
There's one way that I did something that was not perfect for what he was talking about, but it was really pretty good. Somebody banged a chair when I was recording a live musical performance. And so I wanted to still retain almost the full volume of the musical performance, so I created a silent scene that was 1.12 frames. It was 1 second and 12 frames, which is the entire length of the bang of the chair. Okay, and then put that silent scene, and then had it be the control track to reduce the volume of the music track.
Right. Yes, that will work. He would also lose. He would lose his guitar if it's a long period of time. Hopefully, it was a very, very short foul word. But okay. Well, I'm gonna do a little demonstration of the envelope to show it to those who are not familiar with its use. And this was in Smarted at 4 and higher, I believe. So here's. In this particular case, and I'm sorry, some of you have seen this before, but it's a great example, I think. It's a county fair this is in Vermont, just outside Stowe, Vermont. And it's a nice scene. People are, out having a fun day. We're about 10 feet from the highway, though, and there's a horn. that happens and kind of takes away. So let's say I want to get rid of the horn. Well, I click on that audio sample, and I go to envelope. And there's the waveform. And after you do this a couple of times, you can see right where the horn is. And you know where the horn is. Okay, so we want to, let's say first I just want to bring it down so it's not so overpowering, and then we'll get rid of it entirely. This is called audio rubber banding for this reason. Okay, it looks like and behaves like a rubber band. So I'm going to click on the track, and as I slide this back and forth, now you can slide it right on the track, or once you have an anchor point down, you can move it by clicking on this position bar. So there's a couple different ways to move it along. I want to position it right there, and then I want to add another one. Okay, you know, let's add it, move it right there. Now, you can see if I bring one of these down, that's not the effect that I want, right? I want to bring both of them down. So I want to group them, or our developers came up with the word block. We're going to make a block, more than one clip. Oh, still not what I want. Okay, I've got my block defined, but it's doing what I told it. It's moving the volume down. So what I need to do is put an anchor point over here to hold the rest of it steady. And then this is another way to scroll through the anchor points. Now I'm going to make a block with that one and that one. Bada bing, bada boom. Okay. Now what's neat is if you may not be able to see it where you're at, but on a monitor close up, this is the waveform of the horn that previous. It's nice. It shows the original volume, and here's the new one. So this one is a little bit below the rest of the clip. And as we go ahead and let's play that back. So I mean, it's still there. But it's not just like this in-your-face kind of thing. But again, if I wanted to get rid of it entirely, what I would do is I would click one, and then what do I do to join them? And then what? Okay. Now drop it down entirely. Then for me, what I like to do, if I wanted a hyper-specific little sliver, watch this. I go back here and say, go all the way over to the right, and you go all the way over to the left. So it's just like a little notch. Create that. So there's removed your foul word. Now, if I was a type A personality, okay, what I would do is I would go back and do my scene to sample thing, copy another part of this where people are just chattering, and then fill that over there so it just sounded like a chitter chatter going on. Okay. So audio envelope, it's a real powerful tool. I had to use this in December that I did a 13-minute long video as a honoring a kindergarten teacher who retired. She was there for 27 years, like the heart of the school, phenomenal individual. And there were 2 little slivers that were in the red, and I mean infinitesimally small. So I went in here and I could see them, and I was able to bring them down in line with everything else so that I lost those red overmodulation signals and was able to then carry on with everything else. So. Okay, so you can see where it drops down. Okay.
You were just on one track there. If you switch over there and go to envelope, then you see more than one track in the envelope. Is that correct? You can hear them all.
Yes, yeah. And the other way too is in the timeline. It shows you the relationship between all of the clips.
But you can't tell which each individual.
No.
Peaks.
Right. Yeah.
I use that, but I haven't been able to quite decipher the peaks in there so much.
Yeah, it's.
The timeline kind of up on the top above that. If you get real clever, you can up there in the top now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go down, just go back to the envelope. Right up across the top. Top of the screen.
Oh, right. Shows you where you're at relative to.
Scenes.
Right.
You can, if you get real clever and sneaky, you can pick out your scenes that you want to start and stop with.
Oh, which reminds me of one other thing, because I get asked this a very practical question. Okay, gee, Chet, that's nice, but in this example, it was easy to see where the thing is you wanted to change. What if it's not so easy? Okay. Well, you insert an anchor point, and then range lets you choose where it's going to be by sight or by sound. See, so you can move that anchor point using the range button. Okay, questions, comments, answers?
I can go back to including part of your, when you were creating your video and you inserted a special black scene
Mm-hmm.
on your, and I've had it happen to me, and on your bulletin board, a lot of people have said they had it happen to them too. If when they inserted that 3-second or longer black nude scene, it threw their audio sync out.
That was an issue in operating system 2.
It still is in 4.
Oh. Uh-huh.
To some extent. So what they suggested and what I've been doing, instead of using the new black scene, is make a camera black.
Yeah,
I made one that's like 10 seconds long, and you can trim it down to whatever you want.
what's being discussed, there was a point in time in the operating system when it was prevalent, if you created a new black scene here, that it could cause some unwarranted, undesirable effects to your project. Okay? Some people at that time chose to go to color instead of black. We're not sure why it was. And then create your black scene from here, where other people chose to create their own internal black from a video camera. Just put the lens cap on and bring in video in that capacity. So I've been using the new scenes forever now, and I have not had that issue. So I'm not saying you're not, but I have not heard of that being a common issue since OS 2.
Well, when we were having a number of problems with audio sync, that was one of the things that we did that corrected our problems. And I don't know if it was just that, or a combination of that, or maybe it was something else, and that was just one of the things we did.
Sure.
I really don't know.
Yeah.
But just to play it safe, we did the camera black, and we're going that way.
Okay.
And it seems to work fine.
Okay. Good.
Does this have to do with something to do with the audio settings menu, where you're anchored either to the beginning of the project or to the scene?
Not what he's talking about. No, that has to do with the relationship of the audio removing. Excuse me. Let me show you cut music to the beat and export to audio as well, because I want to make sure you see those. Let's see. What do I have here? These are both in Smart Edit 5 and every system after that. So when I say something's in 4, that means 4 and higher. Something's in 5, it's 5, 6, 7 on. It becomes part of the OS. That's not it. Got to find something with a little bit of pep to it. Light and peppy. Let's see. Now that's that harpsichord. That ain't going to work. I thought, gee, that's music I'm playing. I didn't even push the playback button yet. It's that new OS 7. It thinks about what you want to hear. Yikes. Okay, so for this, I want to clean off my storyboard. So I'm deleting storyboard. Done. Okay. Now let's go to, there we go. A little bit too intense for me. It's early in the day for that one. Maybe this evening. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to take this song and I'm going to go to split. Now you already have split capabilities. You can do this in Smart Edit 4 and lower to split the music or any audio element into separate pieces. But there's this new button here. Not only is it going to split it, it's going to stripe it with video black and automatically put it in the storyboard for you and do something else, which I'll show you in a second. First, we're going to play it back. And when I click on Use, we're defining a separate part.
You gotta have good musical timing.
Yeah. Does not come with rhythm. Okay, that's good. So it's going to take the portion of the song that I chose to use thus far and stripe each element with video black and throw it up in the storyboard along with a new little icon. You're going to see a little mauve musical note. Okay? That piece of video is encoded for a special procedure, which I'm going to show you. Okay. 2:23. Ooh, 14. Pretty good timing there for a moment. Okay. Now I can go ahead and take a piece of video. You can see that this video is 6:22 and that clip is 2:23. Watch what happens when I click replace. It automatically takes that scene from the endpoint and trims it to automatically fit that space.
Do you put fades in this?
You can put them, but it'll mess up your synchronization. Yeah.
What happens if the shot's too short?
You'd have to make a scene of a couple different shots.
We just wouldn't do it?
Yeah, I would say, I'll try one here. That's good. It's a nice way of saying. And if you wanted to have it begin with a certain part, you would trim that in and then insert it. But I don't want that one there. I've already used that, so replace that one. So you can go back and make your decisions after the fact. So
Is trimming the scene to the music?
That's correct. Now it's neat. Some people who are doing other things like oral histories told me this is fabulous too, because not only for music, I can be listening to somebody talk about something and cut it at key moments, and then it's defining the amount of cover video that I need to have for a particular part.
When I'm doing this too, I think it's very important to go along and see where your music is, like to listen to it and make sure you put exactly what's in there, of course.
Yes.
Yeah. Just don't throw a bunch of.
Oh, sure. Pretty good rhythm. So, I don't know. But you can see, I mean, it can build an opening, a closing, a montage, credit screen in a very, very short period of time.
Yeah, but it's not telling you which part of the shot you want. So if you just got something that's like dead.
It's good with stills.
Yeah, stills would be fine, but it's really, if you got a 6-second shot and you got a 2:23 beat, then which part of the shot are you getting?
It's taking it from the head, from the endpoint. So you'd have to manually.
You trim it
Right.
from the head.
Right. If I was doing like an opening, a closing, where I had every one of the clips were fairly uniform, they're going to be a minute 26, something like that. I would know enough to go in here and trim each one down to about 204, 205, and know that here's the key chunk of video that I want to have in my piece. But
adjust accordingly. Huh?
what's that? Yeah.
Then adjust accordingly.
It'll trim off the end of that. So, yeah. So that's cool. That's okay. That's in Smart at 5. The other cool piece in Smart at 5, and I talked about a little bit earlier. Let's say if you do oral histories, if you do event videography, if you do community videos. Where's my soccer project here? I think it's here. There it is. Remember we had, this is that extensive soccer project that I showed you about. Okay? 8 minutes, 48 seconds long. Well, in addition to producing the DVD, let's say some of the parents called up and say, that's nice, but great aunt and grandmother and uncle, whatever, we're wondering do you have the capability to create a CD of the audio from that concert or that recital or the play or what have you. Say, well, yeah, I've got a Casablanca Road Show Smart at 5, sure. So what I would do is, first of all, I would make a scene of that whole performance or that part of the performance. Because what you can do is when you create a CD, you can break it down into separate titles as if it was playing back on an audio CD with separate elements. If I wanted this all to be one, I would go to Special and click on Scene to Sample. Now, there's that whole soccer game. That's the audio from the whole soccer video. Exciting. Okay. I want to export that to audio CD, and that's what this button's for right here. The arrow pointing to the CD. Okay? And it says, which one of these clips do you want to be added to be burned onto CD? Well, I want soccer. Okay? And then let's say I had, then there was the football game or the piano recital or whatever. Okay? And you click OK, and it says put in a CD. So you pop in a writable CD, and right from your Casablanca, it will burn the audio track from any project you've created. So again, those of you who are doing any event videography, think about, you not only have your DVD, but with, let's see, how many clicks of a button? 2 different menus. You'd have to make a scene of the whole thing or the portion of the performance. Then you do scene to sample to take it over to audio, and then you add it to your track, and you burn a CD.
Another use of this is if you wanted to wipe, if you had to wipe your system, would be to take all the music you had in your projects, burn them to a CD, then when you reinstall the software, you have it all on one CD and just have to load it up again.
Totally. In fact, that's where this came from. That was the developer's intent. And I've been telling him, I said, that's cool, but this is a whole nother neat idea. But yeah, what David says is exactly true. So before you do a clean install, or you want to put all your music onto a different hard drive, or what's nice too, some people have diversity in their collection. Maybe you have a whole bunch of stuff that, even if you're an event videographer, maybe you have a whole bunch of stuff that's ceremony and a whole bunch of stuff that's highlights and romantic moments. You could make your own CD from a bunch of different diverse clips and put them all into your own CDs to back up your own.
My question to you is, do you take, okay, say you do, I don't know, say you do a 15-minute highlight wedding video, whatever. Take it onto a CD, pour it back out. You leave that scene in there, right? Okay, you leave the original scene for the highlight, throw it back up there, okay? Can you put that CD, you can load the CD back into the system, right? The sound that you downloaded?
Right.
Will it synchronize with the original scene?
Yeah, because it's the same, as long as you haven't trimmed or adjusted the length.
Do it, but just say you had to do it, could you synchronize or load it back in and synchronize it back with the original scene?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if you've tried it or not.
Yeah, I haven't tried that. I haven't had the application for that.
So this burn to CD, is this 5.0 or better?
Yes.
I've got a DVD from a music concert that I've tried to strip off. You can't buy the CD for it. So if I was to load this into the picture, then I could strip it off, and would it still accept it? Because you can't strip it off on a computer.
You can't take the audio off of it? It's a standard DVD?
It's a standard DVD. But
Okay.
it's not going
If it were not, yeah, the DVD won't be read in the Casablanca, but if you have an external DVD player, a standalone, just take the audio feed from that into Casablanca, and then you could, and you can even, you don't even have to do video. Just go in right here in the audio menu, and just come up here, just rear inputs, and record it as a separate audio element, and then make a CD of that. Not that we encourage that, but theoretically it could be done. Yes.
You already answered this, but touch the beat, you went to special, and then split.
In Smart Edit 5, and I'll show you the other way. In Smart Edit 5, yeah, you go to Split. First select the, I'm sorry. Okay, you take the, well, you got your song. Okay, edit to the beat. Go to Audio Record and Edit, select your song, and you go to Split. And then you go to Playback, and every time you click Use, that's when it sets a new clip up.
Is there another one for 4 when you push?
Yes. Yeah, once you, in Smart Edit 4 and lower, you can do the first part of this by going into Split, and you won't see this here. You click Playback, and then there'll be a new button that says Index. Every time you click Index, it splits. Yeah. Which is, by the way, a way you can live split video, too. So I can take this, here's the soccer performance. If I go into Split, you don't see it yet, but when I click Playback, see that Index button? So every time I click Index, it's going to cut that video on the fly.
Then put it up above?
No, it won't do that. It's just splitting it down in the scene bin into separate pieces. But instead of me having to scroll through it,
Can you do that on 4 too?
you can, yes, on 2 and higher.
And then you have a
4 has the next button?
Yeah, see, there's so I just broke it up. Now here's the big trick. When you get back to your edit suite and you try it the first time, you're going to say, damn, he lied to me. Okay? Here's where you got to look for it. Okay? You go to Split, you won't see Index until you click the Playback button.
Right.
See, a lot of people they go back and look for Index, and Chet, you're full of, pond water. So once you click Playback, then the Index button comes up. I taught you something else new today?
Absolutely.
Excellent.
We've got a problem right now where we got an interview going on with some background noise that's very loud. And I was trying to use the audio effects pack to try and clear that out. Unfortunately, the background sound is in the same frequency range because it's people's voices at the interview. Is there any way to cut that out?
Not really. No. There's. Yeah.
We recorded a church concert, and then after the concert, we interviewed the director. And we were upstairs and tried to go around the corner, but we still heard all of the people downstairs talking. They were almost as loud as she is, and we can't.
There've been a couple questions up here. Let me bring us back together for just a couple minutes, and we'll take a quick break because I know it's that time again for break time. Some good questions, and I've had a couple throughout the day about audio, about what some people would call sweetening, or some people would say saving your life with a real bad interview. My fascination with technology began with audio. Actually, was in radio for a few years. And split the old tape with razor blades and spliced music together and fun stuff like that. But it doesn't help you in post, but really the only and the best way to deal cleanly with audio is that initial recording. It is so critical to have, and I'm not being preachy here, there are some tools that you can go into. There's forensic software, that's stuff like the CIA and FBI uses. They can go in and they can listen to a conversation by a water fountain at a Las Vegas casino, and they can dial it out so you only hear the voices. But you're talking about a high level of software and a significant amount of time. And again, what those folks are going for is the content, not necessarily a pleasing audio sound. They just want intelligible audio. There are network, production suites that will also give you an 83-channel parametric equalizer that lets you dial in a very, very hyper-specific frequency and subtract, or actually they never subtract it. It will de-emphasize that frequency over another. But you're talking about layers and layers and layers, and the best thing that any of us can do is, always use an external mic, get it as close to the sound source as possible, away from any other distracting noise. Wear headphones to monitor your audio to make sure you get what you think you're getting. And then there are times in everybody's life, whether that's brought to you by somebody else or you shoot it yourself in a situation where for whatever reason it didn't happen the way you'd hoped it would happen, and you have to deal with that. So I want to show you a couple of the little tools in Audio Effects Pack that may help you. But a lot of times it's a matter of there are a couple of computer application software things that some people who are well skilled in those have had some level of success, but even that can be dicey. Talking to a couple people that have dealt with that. So, a couple things with Audio Effects Pack, and the Audio Effects Pack, I think should be more accurately titled Audio Effects and Tools Pack, because when I think of an effect, it's like it's glitzy and it's fun, and they're in there. But there are also audio tools. So I'm going to take a clip here. My sea life. I'll take that narration clip I used before.
The arid and sunburnt barren land of Arizona. Eternal desert stretching for miles and miles. The intense sun blazing.
Now in Audio Effects Pack, I have the capability, and I say just show me Audio Effects Pack. There's some gimmicky things, and I love the developers are so literal. In video, if you preview, in audio, you must pre-listen. Okay?
The arid and sunburnt barren land of Arizona. Eternal desert.
So if you've got that independent film and you want the echoes, so you got your alien films, you can play this on different frequencies. Okay, an A-third. Okay. Again, as if it's on an old radio.
How would you get rid of a refrigerator?
Say again?
How would you get rid of like a refrigerator humming or?
Here's how you would try.
Yeah.
Okay. is you want to go to filter. And the range of human hearing generally extends depending on the person's health and their age and their sex, because women have better hearing than men, and has nothing to do with selective hearing. That's something different. But from about, yeah, exactly.
That's a guy thing.
From about 20 hertz or 20 cycles per second up to about 16 to 18,000 cycles per second, or what they call 16 kHz, kilohertz. And different sounds are represented or measured at a different or given frequency. Okay? Rarely, however, is any specific sound only at one particular frequency. Usually it's a combination, and then you have distortion, you have something called overtones, and you run into a range of things. It's much more than simple cut. But if you are able to be blessed with an audio undesirable effect that is a relatively simple sound, here's how you would do it. If it's wind volume, for example, I've got a particular project, and it's not going to come out well on the speakers. Okay. So there's the waves of the shore, okay, and the wind. What I could do is go into this special menu, okay, and go down to filter and determine, do I believe that the noise is a lower frequency sound or a higher frequency sound? Okay. The wind itself might be a higher frequency sound, but what happens a lot of times to people is it's actually the wind is vibrating and pushing the microphone element, and it creates a lower frequency rumble. Okay? And so I might want to, if that's the case, I would do a high pass. What it's saying, I'm going to select a frequency, and the higher frequencies are passing and the lower frequencies are being stopped. And here is where I would set the level. Starting, and I'm not sure why we start down here, because there's no human on the planet that can hear this low. But we've got it if you want to go down to 9 hertz. So. And you may, I'm going to go ahead and be extreme. Here there's almost less of that rumble. Right. Now, you can get away with this usually if there's no human voice and there's no music. Because if you've got either of those two elements, then you're, up a creek without a paddle, or with a paddle with holes in it. Because it's possible, but it's going to be really, really tricky. Because then there's this other sound that people can identify and know, and then you modify that, and it's like, okay. Now the opposite, hear the waves splashing? Let's say we're going to do the opposite. We do low pass. Okay. So now we've cut out and identified that higher splashing noise, and you can identify at the approximate frequency the waves begin coming in. Now, if you are able to identify the hum of a refrigerator, for example, here's how you would do that. You do one step and then you get rid of it. First, we have to find that frequency that's offending us. Okay? And in this case, we want the band to pass. What's happening is I'm letting a very specific frequency of the sound wave pass through to your speaker. If you can identify that one offensive frequency, okay, you can broaden it out to get a little bit more around it. And then instead of band pass, we're using band pass to identify it, but we want to stop it. So now what we've done is, in other words, we were listening to that notch, and then we went the other way and said, no, stop the notch and let everything else through. That's the difference between band pass and band stop.
What does the intensity represent in terms of plus or minus?
Yeah, sometimes I wish that was done differently. It's essentially, 100% intensity is it's just focusing on that one specific frequency, and as you decrease the percentage, you're broadening or widening the frequencies around it. There's, yeah.
So are you saying that you can stop a 60-cycle hum
and
still keep the speech on?
That's even easier. I'm glad you asked that. If you have a 60-cycle hum or a 50-cycle hum, okay, there is a button. Now, 60-cycle hum and 50-cycle hum, depending on what continent you're on, is the frequency at which electricity runs through the system. And if you've ever recorded your video, if you've ran your microphone lines beside lighting equipment or a power cord, it has something called the inductance loop, and it will actually impart that frequency onto your recording. And there is a single button in the menu. He says, you can choose between 50. I have event videographers who say that alone is worth the price of this software package because it takes the hum once. That's all you need at one project, and it pays for itself.
Chet?
Yes.
I've also found that carrying adapters that are ungrounded get rid of that hum too.
Is that right?
Yeah, you just use an ungrounded adapter when you plug in, and you don't pick up the hum from the rest of the
Okay.
The one I had fun playing with is the cathedral sounding.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's
Take a voice and make it sound like they're in a big cathedral.
yeah. There's you got different, different kind of environments. The other cool one that I've found particularly useful is, so here I've got a narration clip. It's 25:21. Okay, let's say it's like, it was such a great take, but it has to fit a frame. It has to fit video that's 25 seconds long. In that same collection, the audio effects pack, remember how long it was? Okay, it's 25:21, so I need to shorten this clip by 21 frames. Okay, and tell it it's speech. Okay, here's that same piece.
The arid and sunburnt barren land of Arizona.
As it makes the modification in length, it also adjusts the frequency or pitch so that it attempts to remain at a relative level. Okay, now, which I think is just like, man, that's way too cool. Okay, now it will only go plus or minus 125 frames, but you're talking about what, 2 seconds ish. Oh, 4 seconds. 4 seconds plus or minus. The more you go towards the end, it starts to get a little bit more perceptible. But if it's a longer piece as well, that again,
you get around that by splitting that sample and then doing it individually.
Yeah. No, good idea.
Yeah.
No, excellent.
I've done that.
Yeah. Nice.
There's always a workaround.
That's right. Motherhood is a necessity of invention, huh? Okay. Other comments, questions in audio realms?
Home control's an interesting one, which you do go to voice.
Yeah, there's a whole, there's a whole fun. I mean, Dave Seville would have a great time with this, and the chipmunks and everything. But
I tried every one of those when I tried to solve that problem we had. Not a one.
Yeah. No. All right, let's do this. Let's go ahead and take our quick break, and then come back with Power Key before we jump into some other goodies here, which is included on any of the newly purchased systems and is available for systems that were purchased previously. But Power Key is essentially what I would call an efficiency tool, just for streamlining the amount of time you might spend in front of the interface. Power Key is add-on software, and it will work with the Power Key keyboard or any standard USB keyboard.
Will it work with a standard keyboard?
Yes, but the software has to be enabled. Once the software is enabled, it will work with a USB, most any USB keyboard. I've been asked to occasionally is that the Casablanca will work with wireless USB technology. Okay, there are some of the developers who I understand there's a little bit of fun with. Logitech is pretty much above board. What do you?
I tried Logitech and Microsoft both. I've gone through 3 or 4. What I wanted to do is have the mouse and the keyboard both wireless, but I've had each system, one or the other, work. I can't get them both to work. So
okay.
I use a trackball with wire, and I think I have Microsoft keyboard because I wanted a compact one myself.
Okay.
Works fine.
Best news on that, if you're checking it out with your system, is make sure you're dealing with a retailer who has a good return policy. So if it doesn't work with mine, can I return it? If they say no, then find a different store. You will know that you have power, and I should talk about this too, in terms of installing software. When you go to System Settings screen, you click Install Product, and it shows you the software that's active on your machine. Okay. you would then put for those of you that have a DVD burner in your system, you'd put the all software CD in, and it would show hidden. You would say activate, and you'll see it will download that software to your hard drive, and then up pops this little keypad that says, put your product unlock code, which is a 12-digit code that's specific to your serial number. And then boom, it will go from hidden to active, and that software is then active. You need to do this you need to install the software separately on each of your hard drives if you use multiple drives. But you only need to put the activation code in once. That is saved on a different part of your machine. Okay, the activation code goes once, but you can unlock the software any number of times. Okay.
Chet?
Yes?
How often should you, I guess, defragment your
Good question. In terms of defragging, it's been said it's less important than previously, but it's digital data. So when it's prudent to do so, how's that for a good squirrely answer? It so depends on amount of use, on the amount of data one puts on their hard drive. Somebody might work with it for 6 hours a day, but maybe they do 30-second spots. Other people may have their hard drive up to 90% and have 12 TV shows, 12-hour-long TV shows going on there. So essentially what's described in terms of defragmenting is your hard disk drive is essentially a drive that's saving the media. And when you put data from project 1 over here, and then you come in and record some other projects, and then you want to add some more to project 1, it's a different sector of the disk. And so for the unit to go back and forth and access that data is what sometimes can cause a hiccup. Okay? We're seeing those less and less, but it's electromagnetic media, and sometimes that stuff happens. But
so what I find is if I have 5 hours and I delete that 5 hours, I don't get those 5 hours back. Is that what's typical?
No.
So eventually what I'll have to do is it'll just will not give me all the amount of time that I start off with. Let's say I had 15 hours. And I'll never get back to 15. If I take everything out, I'll never get back to 15 hours unless I defrag, start all over.
You're deleting the clips here? Are you also deleting them in this capacity here?
Yeah, from there.
Huh.
That's not normal.
No.
Okay. Actually,
yeah.
to answer quick, I had that problem and I had to change my hard drive. The hard drive was actually.
Would you shoot me an email on that, David, so I can follow up and ask and see if that's symptomatic of something else? Okay.
What does it mean when your clips are complete in each other? Like, say I have one in story bin 2, and I'm working on one in storyboard 1, project 1, project 2, and project 2's clips are showing up in project 1.
You know what operating system you're on?
Cron. Oh.
Yeah, is it Smart Edit?
I think 3.
Okay. Huh. I hear that occasionally, more with an older OS, but I hear it occasionally on one of the more recent OS. First, the first recommendation from my tech support team is probably going to be to do a clean installation of the operating system. Here's the quick steps down and dirty if you're dealing with a tech issue. First of all, you're advised to power down your machine, leave it off, let the capacitors drain all the electricity, and then power back up. Somebody would say, well, do it longer this time. Leave it off for half an hour, leave it off overnight, and then bring it back. That would be one of the first steps. The next step would be, if it's a specific software application, you can go in the same menu where I was just a minute ago, and if all your anomalies are occurring with a particular piece of software, like Arabesque, you're having problems in the DVD authoring, hide or disinstall, delete Arabesque, and then reinstall just that piece of software and put it on to see if there was something corrupt file or something. The next step would be to do a update of the OS. So let's say I was on 3.6D, which is the latest in the 3 series. With that operating system software, I would have the machine turned off, reboot with it, and it will say, do you want to do a clean install or do you want to do an update? You'd select do an update, and it would say, are you sure you want to do this? All your project data is going to still be there. Yes. Essentially, it's kind of like giving it a booster shot is the way that I equate it. Just kind of like getting it back sometimes a little bit of a shock to get back in action. If I still was having issues, then we would recommend a clean install where you wipe all your hard drive clean, defragmenting the disk. what I'm saying is kind of a general, take 2 pills, have some sleep, and see me in the morning. If you've got a hyper-specific situation that seems really bizarre and odd, I would invite and encourage you to either on the Cassie Tips listserv or the forum, or my better suggestion is always, if you can, call our tech support team. The other reason, especially with newer software, because if we see common occurrences of a particular issue happening, we have a better handle on what's happening out there and then can get a better idea. If people are only getting support from their friends and we don't hear about it, then we don't have a commonality of issues that are occurring. And that's not to lambast you, but I mean, it's just that helps us as well, help you if we identify common things. So that's my way of saying lots of things without really addressing your particular issue. I would try just an update without a clean install and see if that helps. Okay.
Is a clean install the only way you can force a defrag?
Yes.
One of your tech guys really helped me one time because he says when you put your smart edit card in, it's just hitting the Z's, it's just sitting there. He says sometimes it can last up to an hour for things to clean up, so don't give up on it. Just let it sit there, and things will work themselves out, and it did.
Oh, good.
That was on? Leaving it on? Or?
Yeah, just leave it on, leave your smart edit card in, and even if it's reading with the Z's, the little card, just leave it. Don't take it out because you get frustrated. You just it's not working. But
good point.
It is.
Yeah, I had people at the tech, and I say they really helped me out. They spent about 20 minutes on me when it wouldn't take 4.1D at all, and it ended up being my hard drive. It was old anyways. So he said, okay, the next thing you got to do is try to replace your hard drive, and I did, and it was fine.
Oh, good.
So I've even heard actually from the fellow who sells us the Aviation Bank in actually North Vancouver there. That's one thing he checks first for those type of problems is hard drives. Guys, works his way up that way.
Right, the weakest link in the chain, maybe. So. Which is I won't spend too much more time on it, but it's yes, ideally hard drives would last forever, but again, they're electromagnetic media, and stuff does happen. Sometimes they're bad right out of the box. Sometimes they're not, but especially if you've got a lot of project work, you're putting a lot of stuff through your machine. It might be time to invest in a new hard drive, but not always. All right, power key. If you have power key, the other way to know it is if you press the F2 key, this is what it looks like. In any menu setting, function key F2 will give you the on-screen commands. Okay? You can download the manual. It's like a 35-page behemoth of code after code after code after code after code. What I recommend with power key is take a couple simple steps that you think are useful and make them part of your repertoire. Put them on index cards. Put them next to your, Casablanca, and they're there for you to use. And then if you say, gee, it would be nice if I could do this, then you can go to the manual and say, does it, transition menu, oh, okay, that's cool too. Then you kind of build on your repertoire. But I don't recommend taking the manual and say, I'm going to learn power key. Because it's like, I don't know, it'd be like me learning Greek overnight or something.
Do you think macro system, they come up with something that you put on the keyboard to do the commands, or have they made something?
They have not. I would say that the power key keyboard is silk screened with some of the buttons. The other trick is that the keys are menu specific. So as I have 11 different menus, there's 11 different. Good idea though. There's 11 different buttons, and those buttons behave differently in each screen. Mostly, though some difference. That's a great idea though. I like it.
Justin's video manual was very helpful.
Thank you. And I do have copies of those for those interested. In the back of your little product guides, I do have some of the tips and tricks DVDs for sale here, and I also have video manuals. If you're a member of Club Casablanca, which we'll talk about in about 3:34, actually it's 3:30 now. Video manuals are $10 for a set of 2, and it covers 8 different software products. It's like a step-by-step kind of tutorial of what something is. Whereas the tips and tricks DVDs is kind of like how to be a gourmet chef. It's how to take this software product and this software product and make this come alive. Okay? I have all those available, but at the risk of not trying to look like I'm selling you more stuff, you can look at the great the outline there in the product guide. Talk to Candy. And anybody else using tips or tricks or video manuals in here? Anybody? Okay, a couple people. Feel free to talk to these people and see if they're worth their while. So.
Well, we've got several of them.
All right.
Is there a way you're supposed to be able to trim like 10 at once or something?
You can trim, yeah, you can trim. Well, one at a time, but quickly, yes. So let's say, here I go. Simple things, relatively simple things. First, kind of some ground rules on the power key. There's a button here that we use for storyboard, and I'm told that's the Windows key. So if I'm going to do anything in the storyboard, I have to have that key pressed to tell me, do this in the storyboard. Okay? Otherwise, if I press T, see how that clip is now 2:15? If I press T for trim and O for out, it'll let me trim this clip back. Now I've changed that clip. Okay?
Does I mean in?
Yes. And O is out. So now you can see I've got a bunch of different, well, almost the same length and some other lengths of clips here. What if I want them to all be this same length? Okay? I can do this as long as they are that length or longer. Okay? I cannot use power key to extend automatically the length of a bunch of clips, but I can trim it down from a length. So I want to copy them all, and the command is Control T. Control T just copies, and I can just hold it down. Just rips through the rest of them. They're all the same length now.
Wow, that's good.
Anybody else see where I put my glasses? They're there. Okay, good. Make sure I'm pressing the right T. Good Lord has a sense of humor and he gave me vision to deal with it. Okay. So, that's, there's some simple ones. Now, let's say I want to put a whole bunch of them in the storyboard. Okay. Well, I'm going to hold down storyboard and insert. And that puts one scene up there, right? But I want to do much more than that. I want to tell the Casablanca, I'm going to put one scene up there, and I want you to copy what I'm doing and put all the rest up there for me. So I hold down 3 keys. Storyboard, Control, and Insert. Storyboard, Control, and Insert. So watch what it does. It's good. See how it's highlighted on leaves right now? Watch this. Not only did it put leaves up there, but it scooted over saying, Chet's going to do something more. Anytime you use the Control, you're setting up for a repeat. Now, for me to open up the repeat menu, it's Control R, and it says, how many times would you like to me repeat this, Chet? You can go up to 999 scenes.
That was Control R.
Done. It's done. Just added 19 scenes in my storyboard.
It'll take them in the same sequence that they're in down in the bin.
Correct.
Why would you want to do that?
Photo montages?
Photo montages?
Yeah, but, I mean, you want to choose which one you want.
Sometimes. Well,
I don't know any editor that's ever...
I know a ton of people that use this,
I
and
use
it's...
this all the time. Sometimes I have 300 photos, and I happen to put them in my scene bin in the order that I want them, because when I insert them from a card
Right.
from my computer, they're already, I instruct my clients to go ahead and name them 1 through whatever number, and they're in order.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't just say, put whatever's in my scene bin up there. It's a matter of working through your project in a capacity that I say, I didn't choose to go over here and start putting all these scenes in. See, I went to a portion of my scene bin that I know I had all still photos for a photo montage.
Still, you go out, I mean, videos, the process of going out, getting more stuff, getting more, and then...
I could still do that. I could say...
worrying so much about how it's all being put in there versus deciding how you want things to go in there.
I agree with you more than you know. That's why I started off today by saying I am less of an effects person, because if your piece doesn't deliver the message that you intend, I don't care how much money you spend on your software, I don't care how many years you've been doing this, you ain't worth it. If your product doesn't address what the audience needs to have happen or what you want the audience to get from it, you may as well just go home and let somebody else do it. I totally agree with you. But and again, this seminar is less about the aesthetics of video and more about here's how to get your Casablanca to do the things you know you want it to do. So, okay.
I don't think I'd like to use that because I think probably about the time I put the third or fourth scene up, I've already discussed that I want to make some changes.
Well, that's the beauty. You can still make changes.
Yeah,
See,
but I mean,
everything.
It's all up in the storyboard, and I have to open the storyboard.
Oh, yeah.
So I just like to see-
This may not be your cup of tea, and that's totally fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
I put it all up there, then I rearrange it.
Yeah. I mean, there's different.
Watch the music.
I'm going to go over to transitions menu now, and let's add a transition. Now, anytime you're in this kind of a list, L for list, and then I can hit different letters like C for crossfade. In fact, there are what we call macro buttons. There are programmable buttons. You have 4 of them on each menu screen. And if I know that I use crossfade a lot, for example, I may have it programmed in that if I press M1, it will take me right to the crossfade.
You
Okay?
programmed it?
Yes. And here's how you program it. Okay? So, for example, in the transition menu, you can pick 4 of the effects. Okay? I think maybe number 2 is picture-in-picture. No, it's a double. 3 is, I don't have 3 and 4. So here's how I would program 3. Let's say I want to do picture-in-picture. So you go to find that particular effect, and the programmable keys are on a power key keyboard, M1, M2, M3, M4. If you're using on a Windows keyboard, it's F5 through F8, the function keys. You simply park on that effect, and notice it's no longer blue, so you've selected it, and you hit Control and that marker key, whatever it is. So I'm pressing Control and M3. Okay? And then let's go somewhere else, and if I press M3, boom, goes right to picture. So that way, I mean, if you've got a couple that you use...
That was a standard keyboard.
Yes.
I thought you had to have a special keyboard.
I'd like to tell you do, but... Yeah, as long as the software is enabled. Yeah.
Or do you use the software, I thought you had to have special keyboards.
Okay, check this out. Here's, again, for those doing the photo montage, let's say I want to crossfade between everything. Which 3 buttons do I want to use? Control. Storyboard, because we're inserting it in the storyboard, and insert. Control, storyboard, and insert. Okay, so that sets it up. Now, how do I bring up the repeat menu? Control R. Now, even though I only have 19 scenes, you don't have to like sit there and count. I just run it at the high and just say, I know I don't have 9999, so that.
So what lengths are those?
Those are all 1-second transitions.
If you were to say yes to 99 and you don't have 99, it's just doable.
It'll just do the amount you have. That's correct.
Delete them all at once too, of course.
All the transitions? No.
Oh, you really can't delete them all?
No.
You can just go into storyboard and just delete.
So if you wanted to change,
I mean, you could delete the storyboard, but yeah, you could. Yeah, the removable key is storyboard delete.
Can you change the length on them?
Yeah, well, that's it.
Yeah, let's say the
Change
storyboard
all the
wasn't.
links.
Oh,
Still have one storyboard.
You set the length for the first one, and then you insert the rest that are the same length, whatever you set for.
Yeah.
Can I just say one thing?
You may.
Just an example for people in here that haven't used this and have said, what's the use, like if you want to change your fades in and out. I'm just doing, like, this is a good example of why I'm using this, is because I'm doing a montage coming up for a wedding that's 300 pictures, and I have to time every picture at 6 seconds for it to be in that time frame. And that's a 2-second fade on a crossfade. So it says bang, boom, and it's done. All I got to do is throw music. Now, on that circumstance, I can see. But on the point where you got to go in and start changing maybe the fades or, adjusting probably some of the scenes, I can understand that too. But really, the case of if you got to have 6 seconds on 300 pictures,
Let me just show you a couple of other of the more common and more useful ones here. You can trim a scene while it's in the storyboard using power key. Okay? So see how that scene is 325? Okay? By pressing storyboard and T, I'm opening the clip that exists inside the storyboard.
Storyboard, pushing that, and what?
And T. So it trims the clip that was inside the storyboard, and it's complete now.
It also trims it in the scene bin too.
And automatically trims the one in the scene bin for you. So it's a kind of a time saver as far as working back and forth in there. If you are diligent enough to label all your scenes and keep record of them, okay. For example, I have this. Let's do this shot here called Balloon. It's from the Columbus. It's hot air balloon over Albuquerque. Okay. If I know I want to find that clip, okay, I say, and it will find that scene for me. Again, Control F.
Control F will find it up above.
Up above. That's correct. And if you want to find it above, Control F storyboard. And if I had that scene up there, which I don't, it would find it in the storyboard as well.